This is like an ancient royal Chinese cheesecake. Hi everyone, it's Tasha. Welcome to another recipe video, and today we're going to be making Old Beijing red bean milk rolls, or in Chinese, 老北京豆沙奶卷. Timestamps are down below in the description if you want to skip the initial blah blah, but stick around if you want to hear a little bit about what we're making first. If you remember a couple of videos back, I made a different kind of Beijing cheese in inverted commas, Old Beijing Palace cheese, which isn't a cheese but actually it's more like a set custardy type pudding, little bit sweet, that's made with milk and fermented rice wine. And it used to be one of the desserts that was enjoyed by the imperial palace in the Qing Dynasty in China. This is the other way that the cheese is prepared. So in that video we soft set it, and in this video we're actually going to drain the curds and form it into a kind of farmer's cheese. And then we're going to squeeze it relatively dry so that then it's pliable like dough, and then roll it with some sweet red bean paste. So with that video you don't drain it at all, and you're very careful not to stir it because you want it to set like a jelly. But with this one we're agitating it, we're heating it, so that we're getting rough clumps of curds that we can then drain. Disclaimer, this recipe didn't work the way I wanted it to at first. I made my Beijing Old Palace cheese, the pudding style one, many times, so I was very confident in the quantities between the milk and the glutinous rice wine to be able to set it as much as I wanted to. And as I mentioned in that video, I trialled both the cold method and the heated method, so I was pretty confident that I knew what I was doing. And I'd also done a lot of research on this particular milk roll recipe too online. What I wasn't banking on was the freshness of my homemade rice wine. So I used homemade rice wine in my previous video, and what I hadn't taken into account that it was quite mature, so there were plenty of enzymes in it. This rice wine that I used was also homemade, but it was literally fresh because I take 2 days to ferment my glutinous rice wine. 老早酒酿, you can buy it from Asian supermarkets if you can't make it at home. And after those 2 days were up, I immediately tried to make this recipe. Turns out it wasn't enzymy enough. So it did for the most part coagulate the milk, but then I had to cheat and use a little more lemon juice to coagulate the rest of the milk, which you will see. And also it's quite handy because if that happens to you and the rice wine doesn't fully coagulate it, then you don't have to buy more rice wine because it's not cheap if you buy it. And surprisingly, it didn't really taste like lemons afterwards either. You could only taste that lovely faint sake-like flavour of the rice wine, no lemon or sourness at all. So that was quite handy. But the chances are you would be using well-matured 老早酒酿for your recipe rather than making it from scratch to make it. So this recipe will probably work without the lemon juice. If it doesn't, I will be showing you what to do. So with all that said, let's go to the kitchen and see how it's done. First we need to squeeze out some fermented rice wine. So here I have my fermented rice, my 老早, also known as 酒酿. This is homemade. You can buy it from Chinese supermarkets in a jar. And all we need is the juice. And it's really sweet and a little bit lightly alcoholic, but not a lot. Only a little bit because it's lightly fermented. And we're going to need 400 milliliters of the wine. So all we have to do is squeeze it out in a sieve into a measuring jug. There we are, 400 milliliters of the stuff, and this is the solids. Now you can either chuck this, I'm going to keep this for some experimentation because apparently you can make some kind of bread out of the leftover fermented rice, so this will just be for my experiments. And we're going to set this lovely stuff aside. By the way, you do need to use quite a fine sieve for this, otherwise the rice solids will just come out the other end when you squeeze it. If you don't have a really fine sieve, then a muslin cloth or even a nut milk bag will do. Just put it in there and then squeeze the juice out. Now it's time to cook down and curdle some milk. So here I have quite a lot of milk. This is 1,500 milliliters, that's 1.5 litres of whole full fat milk. And I'm going to add 100 grams of whole milk powder. This is Nido, which I always use, it's a brand, but you can use any whole milk powder. We're going to switch the heat on to a medium heat, and we're just going to stir this in. Now I've seen a lot of people make this online, and what they usually do is either they cook the milk down for a specific amount of time. I've seen 20 minutes, half an hour, even up to an hour on a low heat, and that slightly condenses the milk, but not like fully condenses it, so it's not actual condensed milk, just slightly condensed milk. Or I've seen people cook it down until it reaches a certain volume, so they'll weigh it first and then they'll cook it down, and then they'll keep weighing it until it has reduced as much as they want. That's a bit too fussy for me, so that is why I'm cheating and adding extra milk powder to the milk to condense it. And also I want lots of those curds, so this will make even more without reducing the volume. Now we want this just steaming, which it isn't quite yet, we're still getting there, but not boiling, because if it's boiling it's going to kill all of the lovely enzymes in our rice wine that are meant to curdle the milk, and we want it to curdle because that's the whole point of this recipe. So just until steaming to help activate and speed up the curdling process, but not boiling. And now that it's steaming but not boiling, we're going to add in our rice wine, our fermented rice wine. Keep stirring, it's going to start curdling pretty much immediately. And we're going to turn our heat down all the way down to low because we want to keep it warm, we don't want to cook it. We're just going to stir for a couple of minutes. We're starting to get a lot more clumps now. It's looking nice and lumpy, which is how we want it. And now I've got some nice big clumps. I'm going to turn the heat off and we're going to take it off the heat and let it cool down to room temperature. Now we're going to strain our curds. Here I have a muslin. Well, this is technically a nut milk bag, but it's basically made out of a muslin. You can just use a nice big sheet of muslin cloth. And I'm just going to ladle our curds and mixture straight in. This is going to filter them. Now if I'd done this a bit better, the whey would be completely clear. Now we're going to gently squeeze the rest of the moisture out. And now we're going to salvage our curds because this is what we're going to use. Now as you can see, the whey is still milky, so there is still some stuff in there that could be curdled. And going to be honest with you, buying the fermented rice wine isn't cheap and making it takes a while. So I decided to use lemon, a little bit of lemon to curdle the rest. And I'm going to show you in real time how fast it was. So here I'm adding the juice of 1 lemon and it was fresh. And again I'm stirring it over a low to medium heat and it pretty much starts to curdle instantly, which is what would have happened if I had used slightly better fermented rice wine. Usually when I use it, it's already maybe a month old, but I'd made mine literally 2 days before and I used it fresh, so it wasn't ripe enough, there weren't enough enzymes. But no matter, 1 lemon will do the rest. So here we're already ready to strain it, and we're going to do the exact same process. Strain it, squeeze it, plop it. And it didn't affect the taste either. And here's what we're left with. That was quite a good harvest. So here we have the whey, which is pretty much completely clear now. You can throw this away. I'm actually going to save it because it makes nice pancakes instead of using milk. So this will make a few batches of pancakes. And now we have our curds, which is essentially like a kind of farmer's cheese. I didn't squeeze them too dry. You want some give to them. But this is a little bit, let me show you, a little bit crumbly. And we want it nice and smooth. Now in the ancient times, they would have just kneaded this and kneaded this and kneaded this. Sometimes I've seen people smoothing it out with a meat cleaver. But we're going to cheat and we're going to be using a small food processor. Let's put our curds into our food processor. And we're going to simply blitz it up. This is a little bit like when I made whipped ricotta actually. So let's stick the blender in and let's go. That should be nice and smooth. And we're going to scoop this into a medium-sized sandwich bag. Now we're going to lay the bag down. Seal it up. Let's get some of that air out. And I'm just going to roll it into a rectangle. Set this aside for a minute. Now on this side I have a bag of 300 grams of red bean paste, and I'm going to do much the same thing. Just going to roll it. We're going to make it slightly shorter. Now our milk slab is a little bit soft after the beating it took in the blender, in the food processor, so I'm going to chill this for about an hour so that it firms up. The red bean paste can just hang out here. Now here we have a bigger sandwich bag that we've cut open because I'm going to use this to roll our rolls up. Here's our curd. Let's free it from this sandwich bag. And I'm going to deposit it straight on top of this plastic sheet. That was a bit haphazard, but it doesn't matter. I've opened up the red bean sheet in a similar fashion, so I'm going to place it this way. And let's roll them up together. And I'm going to place this in the fridge for another hour to firm up again. And all we have to do is take some unflavoured dental floss or some string, and we're going to press down to cut. Beautiful. I'm not the best at rolling these up, but these all do. To be fair, I could have squeezed a little more whey out of the curds because it ended up quite soft. But also you don't want it too dry, because if it's too dry, it won't form a dough and it won't come together. So I guess practice makes perfect. Anyway, I'm happy with those for my first attempt. Yum, it's so soft as well. Like I said, I probably should have squeezed it a little bit better, squeezed more of the way out. But this is just fine, I just about got away with it. And like I said, if you squeeze too much, then it'll be too dry and crumbly. Anyway, cheers! It tastes like a sucky red bean cheesecake. I love it. Super smooth and creamy, not too sweet, which is the hallmark of a good Asian dessert. I love how creamy it is. Lovely straight out of the fridge on a summer's day. I can imagine the emperors and empresses of old enjoying this in the palace. So there you go, traditional, old-fashioned, old Beijing red bean milk rolls. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's recipe video, and I hope you'll join me next Wednesday for my next one. Get the full written recipe on my blog tashcakes.com. Follow me on Instagram, I'm tashcakes.taste, and find me on TikTok too. I'm tashcakes there too, but my handle is food in slow motion. Subscribe if you want to see more. Give this video a like if you'd like to help other people find it. Comment down below if you'd like me to make anything in particular, and I will see you all next time. Be good, be nice, and have a good week. And no, you cannot get sozzled off of this cake. It is far too low in alcohol.